I've always believed life unfolds like a series of lessons, often in ways you least expect. Growing up in a modest Midwest town, baseball became my sanctuary. From the crack of a bat to the chatter of teammates, it was where I felt alive and capable. I honed my skills through hours of practice with my dad, who cheered for every hit and consoled every strikeout, molding my resilience and determination. As the years went by, my passion for baseball collided with academic ambition. By the time I reached college, I balanced the grueling demands of my engineering courses with the intensity of collegiate sports. I thrived on the challenge, savoring both intellectual growth and the camaraderie of the field. Still, beneath my love for the game, a gnawing realization emerged. Talent only takes you so far without adaptability. When my baseball dreams dimmed, I funneled my energy into a budding career in engineering. I realized that chasing success off the field required as much focus and perseverance as swinging for the fences. That determination paved the way for a career I loved, teaching and mentoring students while tackling real-world problems alongside brilliant minds. I was thriving in a life filled with purpose and connection. Curveballs never came naturally to me, not in baseball and certainly not in life. My collegiate years saw me thriving as a batter who could anticipate and crush fastballs. That skill made me a star on campus, but limited my prospects for professional baseball. I leaned into my education, recognizing its long-term value. Fast forward 25 years past graduation and a decade and a half into my career, I found myself living my dream. I was a full-time professor at a Texas engineering school, actively consulting for government projects and overseeing a prominent manufacturing lab. Life felt like a home run. My wife Tessa and I had settled into our ideal home, and our daughter Tori, a civil engineering junior, was attending the same university where I taught. Everything seemed perfectly aligned. The curveball came suddenly, unexpected and devastating, a call from Tori. "Daddy, what's going on?" she asked, her voice filled with urgency. "I stopped by the house and saw movers. Mom said she's moving out and that you two are having problems. Why didn't you tell me?" Her words left me stunned. I hesitated before replying. "Are you sure? This isn't some kind of joke?" "No, Daddy," Tori insisted. "I'm standing here watching them pack. Come home. She won't tell me what's going on. Did you do something?" Her question cut deep. I knew I wasn't a perfect husband, but I couldn't think of anything to drive Tessa away. I rushed home, where Tori met me, visibly upset. "She hasn't explained anything," Tori said. "Dad, I'll support you if you didn't do something horrible, did you?" "No, honey, I haven't," I assured her. "Let's go talk to her." Tori, ever the defender of fairness, decided to record the encounter for her sister Talitha. We walked into the house, where Tessa was directing movers. "Tessa, what's going on?" I asked. "I'm leaving, Dax," she said firmly. "I don't want to argue. It won't change anything and will only make me angry." Tori, furious, chimed in. "Mom, unless you explain this, you're only going to make me angrier. What are you doing?" Tessa, clearly uncomfortable, asked Tori to step outside to talk. Tori pulled her hand away, but we followed Tessa onto the deck. She shut the sliding door, paused, and finally said, "I met someone. He's new in town from New Mexico and works in real estate. I'm leaving to be with him. I've already filed for divorce, Dax." "Well, that's a shock," I replied. "You couldn't just cheat, could you? Instead, you had a magical connection and knew immediately he was the one?" Tori snorted. "Sure, Mom, that's how it works. How dumb do you think we are?" Tessa tried to respond, but Tori cut her off. "You're in real estate, Mom. No one tracks your time. How many showings or dinners did you have with Romeo?" "It's not like that," Tessa began. "Yes, it is," I said. "You don't just decide to leave your husband for a soulmate out of nowhere." "You're making it sound cheap," Tessa protested. "It is cheap," Tori snapped. "You're betraying Dad, and that's between you two. But what about me and Talitha? What's your plan for us?" "I love you both," Tessa said quickly. "That hasn't changed. I still love you, Dax, but..." "But nothing," Tori interjected. "You claim to love me, but how do you think I'm supposed to feel about you now, or how Talitha will feel about me?" "I know you're upset," Tessa said, "but you'll see nothing will change. You'll even come to love Charles once you know him." "Not happening," Tori hissed. "I want nothing to do with a guy who goes after a married woman. I'm telling Talitha everything. And you know what's already changed? I've lost all respect for you. Don't bother bringing him near me. I'll spit on him." "Tori," Tessa tried, but Tori cut her off again. "You don't know anything, Mom. I've never been so disappointed. You've ruined everything. God, I hate you." Tessa turned to me helplessly. "Dax, don't look at me. I said. "This is on you." Tessa seemed to realize the weight of her actions. She looked between us, but Tori grabbed my arm. "Let's go, Dad," she said. "I can't stay here with her." Tessa gasped at the insult, but Tori was already dragging me up the steps into her car. She opened the door for me, practically shoving me in. I felt like I was moving in slow motion, blindsided by everything. Tori got in, started the car, and turned to me. "Daddy, it's going to be okay," she said. "You're reeling, but I'll make it my mission to help you through this and see you happy again. Now buckle up. It's the law." I buckled up, grateful for her support. Tori always drove fast, and with her R8 V10 Plus Spider, her college graduation gift, she added a little extra edge to her usual speed. "Jesus, baby," I muttered as she sped down the road. "You're going to eliminate me before I have a chance to recover." She laughed, unapologetically. It was only 10 miles to the apartment she shared with Talitha, but we made it in record time. Tori and Talitha were opposites in personality, though almost identical in looks. It amazed me how two kids raised the same way could be so different. Tori was full of energy, always talking and buzzing with excitement. Talitha, in contrast, was quiet and affectionate, except when she played softball. Then she was a powerhouse on the field. When we arrived at their apartment, Talitha squealed, slid onto the couch, and patted the spot next to her. "Hey, Daddy, what's up?" she asked, wrapping her arms around me. Tori settled in on my other side. "Hi, sweetie," I said. "It's been a rough day." Her big blue eyes looked up at me. "What happened?" "You won't believe this." Tori jumped in. "I went to grab Daddy's jack and found Mom at the house with a moving truck. She said she's leaving him." Talitha froze. "What? You're kidding." I pulled her close. "I wish I was, baby." "What did you do?" she asked. My heart sank. Why did both my girls assume I'd done something wrong? "Dad didn't do anything," Tori said firmly. "It's Mom. She met some guy named Charles and thinks she's in love." "Seriously?" Talitha asked, shocked. Tori played her the recording, and Talitha burst into tears. Tori and I held her between us, comforting her as she sobbed. Through my own tears, I heard her whisper, "What are you going to do, Daddy?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "She's leaving. I can't stop her, and I'm not sure I'd want to at this point." Talitha wiped her eyes. "I need to hear it from her," she said. "If she says the same thing, I'll be furious and heartbroken." "I understand, sweetheart," I said. "I'm still in shock, too." Tori, more pragmatic, said, "Dad, you need to talk to a lawyer." Talitha frowned. "Jesus, Tori, listen to yourself. This is Mom we're talking about. Do you really think she's not capable of worse, considering she's already done this?" "It's surreal," Talitha murmured. "Like the Twilight Zone." "It is," Tori agreed. "But we have to deal with it." Talitha stood, determined. "I'm going to talk to her. Meet me for dinner later." She grabbed her bag and left. Tori leaned into me, and I wrapped an arm around her. We sat in silence for a while before she broke it. "Daddy, do you know any lawyers?" I blinked, pulled from my thoughts. "Yeah, but none for this kind of thing." "Call someone you trust and ask for a referral," she urged. I couldn't believe it had come to this. Hours ago, life felt normal. Now I was considering a divorce lawyer. After brainstorming, Tori and I settled on Amanda Sloan, highly recommended by one of my contacts. I scheduled an appointment, received a checklist of documents to bring, and prepared for the next step in this unexpected nightmare. I needed to head home to pack for the next day's reception. Tori offered to drive me and decided to pack for herself and Talitha as well, announcing that they'd be staying with me indefinitely. I protested, but she was firm, and I knew better than to argue. While I focused on gathering financial documents, Tori took it upon herself to help organize our accounts and log into the bank system. "Dad, you're not going to believe this," she said, her tone laced with disbelief. "What is it?" I asked, pausing to look at her. "You've got $50 in checking," she replied, "and $1,000 in a money market account. Is that just the minimum to avoid fees?" "Yes, but we should have much more than that," I replied, stunned. "Mom must have drained it," she said. "This isn't just cold, it's probably illegal." "I'll move some funds around," I said. "I got money in a credit union she can't touch." That evening, we met Talitha for dinner. She was visibly shaken. "I had to hear it from her myself," she said, wiping away tears. "I'm sorry I doubted you, but some things you need to hear firsthand." "You're not mad at me, are you?" I asked. "No, Dad, I understand," she said. Tori hugged her. I wouldn't have believed it either if I wasn't there. Talitha shared what she learned. "Mom wants us to meet Charles. She thinks we'll love him. I told her I wouldn't meet him. And honestly, I don't even want to see her. She lied to us. She cheated. Hearing that confirmed my worst fears. I guess we know the truth now, I said. I don't want anything to do with her either. But my emotions were in chaos. Grief, sadness, and above all, anger. The next day, Tori and Talitha drove me to meet Amanda Sloan, a no-nonsense lawyer who wasted no time. Within 2 days, she filed divorce papers, froze our finances, and demanded Tessa return any withdrawn funds. Neither of us could touch the accounts except for daily expenses. Soon after, Tessa called. "Why are you being so difficult, Dax?" she asked. "Difficult?" I echoed. "You're the one who left." She insisted on talking in person. When she arrived and saw the girls, she asked, "Why are you here?" "We live here," Talitha said bluntly. Tori added, "We're not leaving Dad alone." Then they grabbed their bags and left without acknowledging her further. Tessa sat across from me and sighed. "I don't want this to be harder than it has to be. I still love you, but I need to be with Charles. We can still be friends for the girls' sake." "Friends?" I said. "I don't have friends who treat me like this, or enemies for that matter." "Why did you freeze the accounts?" she asked. "You drained them," I replied. "You have a job, Tessa. You earn good money." "But you have accounts at the credit union," she said. "Which you've never contributed to," I reminded her. "When we were together, it was ours. Now it's mine. Let the courts decide." "By the way, wasn't Charles a roller skating enthusiast?" She wrinkled her nose. "His name is Charles. Stop being childish." "I don't care what you think," I shot back. "Is there anything else?" "The girls," she said. "They're furious. You must have said something to them." "Me?" I asked incredulously. "They don't need me to tell them anything. They can see for themselves what you've done." "How long has this been going on? Why didn't you ever tell me you were unhappy? We could have tried to fix it." Tessa looked wistful. "I wasn't unhappy," she said. "Have you ever met someone and felt an instant connection? Like magnets?" "Yes," I replied. "When I met you." She avoided my gaze. "Can't we move on?" "We don't have to be angry. We've loved each other too long to let it go like this. We can still be friends." "I don't want to be your friend, Tessa," I said. "After the divorce, I doubt we'll have a reason to talk." "The girls will bring us together. Graduations, weddings, their lives go on," she countered. "Maybe," I said. "I'll handle what I need to." "I'm still the same person," she added. "You used to like me." "No, I didn't. Or if I did, I never really knew you. I'm done. You can leave," I said firmly. Tessa sighed and left. Needing space, I drove to the river, parked, and stood by the water to clear my head. After a while, a voice interrupted my thoughts. "Hi, Daddy," Talitha said, walking up to me. "Hi, doll. How'd you find me?" "The family tracker," she said, grinning. "You insisted we keep it." I laughed, and she leaned into me. "It's beautiful here," she said. "What did Mom want?" I sighed. "She wanted to know why I froze the accounts and said we should be friends. She claims we'll need to stay connected for you and Tori." Talitha was quiet for a moment. "Tori and I already talked. We won't invite her to anything. We miss her, but we can't go through this with her." "You're sure?" I asked. She nodded. "Yeah, let's grab dinner. How about Mexican food?" We called Tori, but she was busy, so it was just me and Talitha. Over time, things settled. The divorce was finalized after several meetings, and the girls stayed with me for 2 weeks. Eventually, I insisted they move back to their apartment. "I love having you here," I told them, "but you need to get back to your lives. I'll always be here for you." "Okay, Daddy," Talitha said. "We don't want you to feel lonely. Then call, visit, or invite me out. Do what you've always done." After hugs and sniffles, they agreed. They checked in often, and when the divorce was final, they stayed with me for another week. They didn't mention their mom, and I didn't ask. I poured myself into work, taking on more projects and classes to stay busy. I missed being married, the comfort of a partner, the small acts of care, but slowly I healed. It took a year to feel better, then 2. By then, Tori was finishing her PhD, and Talitha had paused her studies to work at a mortgage company. Both were thriving, and I was proud of them. Life moved forward, as it always does. Tessa occasionally disrupted our lives, like at Talitha's graduation, where she overheard plans to celebrate and insisted on joining us. "Mom, shouldn't you hurry back to Chucky Boy?" Tori asked. Her face darkened. "Charles and I broke up," she said. "Oh, really? When? Talitha asked. If you'd talked to me, you'd know. It's been 18 months, Tessa replied. Well, we've been busy, Tori said dryly. I couldn't help but laugh, earning a glare from Tessa. We all drove separately to the barbecue restaurant. We managed to find her a seat, though the girls made it clear they didn't want her there. She left shortly after dinner, and I left for Tarawa the next day to work on a resort project as a consultant and shareholder. Tarawa was stunning. Pristine beaches and vibrant oceans. I spent time at clubs, met new people, danced, and even had a couple of flings. It was refreshing, and I returned ready to start living again. The idea of revisiting California and my old neighborhood crossed my mind. I decided to take the motor home, towing a Wrangler for local trips. After stocking up, I hit the road. Traveling was a blast. I stayed at campgrounds, attended events, and met many people, mostly couples, which made being single feel a bit lonely. It took 3 weeks to reach my destination due to frequent stops. Once there, I explored Ventura, Santa Barbara, and Ojai for a few days. One afternoon, I was at a coffee shop in Ojai when a commotion caught my attention. A woman, clearly a Karen, was causing trouble over a mask policy. Annoyed, I focused on the people waiting outside. One woman gave up, sat at a nearby table, and pulled out her phone. She looked oddly familiar. When she went inside, it hit me. Her walk sparked a memory. Jacinta de Leon, I murmured. How could I forget? Jacinta had moved to my town in 3rd grade. She was magnetic, huge, dark brown eyes and a radiant smile. She quickly became my best friend. We walked home together every day, coordinated class schedules, and spent nearly all our time together. By junior high, I was completely in love with her. Unfortunately, my feelings weren't mutual. To her, I was just her best friend. I stayed silent, afraid of ruining what we had. I gritted my teeth through her string of boyfriends, enduring the heartache while cherishing the moments we spent together, like when she always saved a couple of dances for me at school events. One day, while playing cribbage in my room, Jacinta asked, Dax, why don't you have a girlfriend? I stammered, unable to admit the truth, that the girl I wanted didn't see me that way. I'll help you, she declared cryptically. Soon, a parade of her beautiful friends started showing up, her idea of matchmaking. We remained close until she moved to Los Angeles and I to Texas. Years later, she reappeared, even more stunning than before. Now, an elegant woman with an air of independence. She wore a beige silk dress and black low-heeled shoes that highlighted her legs. Sitting in a coffee shop, flipping through her phone, she suddenly looked up, her eyes lighting up as she recognized me. Dax, oh my God, is it really you? She squealed, rushing over and nearly knocking me over in a hug, just like when we were kids. It's been ages, she said excitedly. What are you doing here? Are you alone? Is your family with you? I carefully disentangled myself, wary of the hot coffee she held. Take a seat before you scald me, I said, laughing. She sat down, pulling me into another hug. It felt like we were kids again, sitting side by side on the cafeteria bench. Why are you here? She asked. How long are you staying? I'm touring the country in my van, revisiting the old neighborhood, I explained. I've been here a few days with no real plans. She nodded. I moved here 3 years ago, opened a real estate office, and business is booming. What are you doing tonight? We need to catch up. Her enthusiasm was contagious. No plans, I said. I decide what to do each day as it comes. Wait, she said, suddenly serious. Aren't you married? Where's your wife? I'm divorced, I admitted. It's a long story. She brushed it off. I don't have time for that. You're taking me to dinner tonight. I have a fashion show in 20 minutes. Give me your number. I handed it over, and she immediately texted me. Wear a collared shirt, she teased, as she rushed off, leaving me grinning. Later, I remembered her love for turquoise and bought her a handmade silver bracelet and matching anklet from a jewelry shop. I dressed in black slacks and a pink button-down shirt, sprayed on cologne, and drove to the address she sent me. Her house left me speechless. It was a stunning historic property in Ojai, complete with gardens, wrought iron fencing, and a guest house. The grand stucco home was worth millions. I couldn't help but feel a little intimidated. I parked on the street, honked at the gate, and walked in. The property was stunning. Fountains, colorful flowers, a koi pond, and mature avocado trees everywhere. In front of the garage sat a green late 60s Jaguar E-Type. The place was breathtaking, a clear testament to Jacinta's success. When I rang the doorbell, the deep, resonant chime matched the house's elegance. Jacinta opened the door and I froze. She giggled at my expression. Cat got your tongue? She teased. You know how you look, Jacinta. You're still the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, I said. She hugged me tightly. God, I've missed you, Dax. I brought you something, I said, handing her a gift. She opened it and squealed with delight, pulling out the turquoise jewelry. You remembered, she said, beaming. We headed toward the gate, her hand in mine. Are you sure you want to take the Jeep? I asked. She laughed. What, you think I'm too fancy for a Jeep? I'm still me, Dax. I chuckled. You're just looking a little too glamorous for it. And judging by this place, you're doing really well. She grinned. I've worked hard. Right now, I'm wrapping up a big real estate deal at Lake Casitas. Property here is insane. As we drove, she shared snippets of her journey, starting in West Covina, working for a big agency, then founding her own. Enough about me. Tell me about you, she said. I handed her my iPad to scroll through pictures of my daughters. Your girls are gorgeous, she said. Is this your wife? Ex-wife, I clarified. We divorced 3 years ago. I'm sorry, is it still a sore subject? I shrugged. Not anymore. What about you? I don't see a ring. She shook her head. No marriage for me. I had a long relationship, but it ended 4 years ago. I don't like talking about it much. We chatted about our lives. I mentioned how close I was with my daughters and that they might join me later on my trip. Jacinta smiled warmly. That's so sweet. And you? Any kids? I asked. No, just me, she said. I always thought I'd be a terrible mom. My mother was incredible, and I'd never measure up. Her honesty made her all the more endearing. We arrived at the restaurant, and Jacinta held my hand as we walked inside. Once the food arrived, she started talking, just like when we were kids. The guy I was with was another real estate agent, she said. We talked about him moving in, but things never worked out. Her expression turned serious. That's the part I don't like to talk about. I squeezed her hand. You don't have to, Jacinta. No, I do, she insisted. He was working with me on a big deal and cheated me. He bought land without doing his homework, and it backfired. Right in the middle of the property was 200 acres owned by the city. It was gifted with restrictions, no development for 50 years. What happened? I asked. She sighed, recalling the story. He tried to get me to buy into it, claiming he could fix it. He couldn't. He resorted to shady deals and bribery, got caught, and ended up in jail. Luckily, I sensed something was off and I didn't get involved. So you left? I asked, leaning in. Yeah, she said with a nod. After Bob went to prison, I sold my agency and moved back home. Best decision of my life, and then I ran into you. I was just as surprised to see you, I said, smiling. Her expression brightened. Are you excited? Of course, I replied. I didn't expect to find you here. I was just revisiting old places, planning to head to the coast. How long are you staying? She asked. I've got nowhere to be until fall semester, I said. Even then, my classes are online. My only real work commitment is in December. Her face lit up. If I clear my schedule, can I join you for a walk? That is, if you don't have other plans. I do, I said. Her face fell. And they'll all be better with you. Her eyes sparkled. Really? Then let's do everything on your list. Her enthusiasm made me laugh. You haven't changed, Jacinta. She grinned mischievously. Oh, I've changed. I'm smarter, and I keep finding hair in weird places, she whispered with a smirk. I burst out laughing, and soon we had the entire restaurant's attention with our antics. Spending time with Jacinta was pure joy. She was smart, funny, and full of life. As I walked her to the door, she chatted nonstop, making plans for our next outing. At the door, she hugged me tightly before leaving. The following 2 weeks were incredible, filled with laughter and excitement I hadn't felt in years. Jacinta was like a breath of fresh air, making life feel vibrant and new, much like when we were kids. It made me realize how stagnant things had been with Tessa, where routine had taken over. I started noticing the way Jacinta looked at me, her warm brown eyes with flecks of gold and green glowing in the sunlight. She hadn't mentioned my 2-week timeline, and neither had I. 3 weeks had passed, and I had no intention of leaving. We spent nearly every day together, always planning when we'd see each other next before parting ways. After nearly 2 months together, Jacinta invited me in after a day of antique shopping. We were snuggled on her couch sipping whiskey with an old kung fu show playing in the background. Suddenly, I noticed she had gone quiet. Turning to her, I saw her looking at me, her eyes soft and liquid. Is something wrong, Peaches? I asked. No. Yes. Maybe, she replied hesitantly. I chuckled. That clears things up. Dax, she began. Why are you still here? Are you just spending time with an old friend, or is this something more? I hesitated. It started as friendship, but what do you think it is? It's more than friends for me, she admitted. I loved you back then, and I think I still do. Why didn't you ever ask me out? You were my best friend, I said. I was terrified it would ruin everything if you didn't feel the same. I wanted you to, she whispered. I tried so hard to get your attention, but was too scared to ask you myself. You were the girl of my dreams, I admitted. I just didn't know you felt the same. Do you still dream about it? She asked softly. If you don't plan to stay, she continued, you should go now. I can't fall for you again if you're going to leave. I'm not leaving, I assured her. I have responsibilities, my girls, and work, but I can stay. She smiled. We'll figure it out, but right now, I want something else. She led me to the bedroom, and the night felt like stepping back into my 20s. In the weeks that followed, we spent nearly every moment together. Time slipped by, and suddenly, 4 months had passed. My daughters, Tori and Talitha, began questioning how long I planned to stay in California. I wanted to tell them about Jacinta in person, but plans changed when I got a text from Talitha. Dad, I'm visiting for a week. Flying into LA Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Can you pick me up? Of course, doll, I can't wait, I replied. I told Jacinta. Talitha is coming to stay for a week. Uh-oh, she said, cuddling closer. You need to tell them about us. I'm not hiding for a week. I want to meet them. They look like girls I'd love. I want you to meet them too, I said. I plan to talk to them in person, but now I'll suggest a Zoom call so everyone can get to know each other. Perfect, she said. When? I'll arrange it for Monday night. Do you have plans? Nope, she said, smiling. Let's do it. I managed to get the girls on a Zoom call, though they were suspicious about my motives. After some casual chatting, I finally worked up the courage to speak. I know I've been mysterious, I began. I was going to talk to you in person, but I've met someone. Tori smirked. Dad, we're not dumb. We figured it out. Talitha added, Yeah, you're not slick. Who is she? I grinned. Girls, I want you to meet her. Be nice, okay? Jacinta walked in, sat on my lap, and I introduced her. This is Jacinta de Leon. She was my best friend in high school, and we've reconnected. She's the reason I've been here so long. Tori and Talitha were initially stunned, but quickly warmed up. God, Dad, she's gorgeous, Tori said. Talitha added, We're the gatekeepers, Jacinta. You've got to impress us. Jacinta laughed. I'd expect nothing less. I love your dad, and I hope to be a part of both his and your lives. I'm not here to take him away from you. Tori replied, We just miss him being in California all the time. Jacinta assured them, We'll figure it out. I want to meet you both and make this work. The conversation flowed easily, with the girls joking and sharing stories about me. When the call ended, I turned to Jacinta. So, what do you think? They're amazing, she said, smiling. Smart, funny, and definitely your daughters. When Talitha arrived, I picked her up at the airport. Seeing her took my breath away. My little girl had grown into a beautiful, confident woman. She hugged me tightly and chatted non-stop as we grabbed burgers at In-N-Out. By the time we got to the van, she was still full of energy, excited to see how it converted into a home. She was thrilled with the setup. Later, I told her we were going to Jacinta's for dinner. She lit up, quickly showered and changed, and then declared herself ready. I got cleaned up and we headed off to what I knew would be a memorable evening. Talitha kept commenting on the scenery and neighborhoods as we drove, and the closer we got to Yasina's house, the more impressed she seemed. When we reached the gate, I entered the code. As we pulled into the driveway, Talitha gave me a wide-eyed look. Daddy, your girlfriend lives here? You've got way more game than I thought. I laughed. She's a big-time real estate developer. You'd never guess it from high school. She's Hispanic. Her parents came here from Honduras 5 years before she was born. Her dad worked in an almond orchard and eventually owned it, and her mom ran a small tamal farm. Back then, she did everything on her own. Wow, Talitha said, clearly amazed. We parked and headed inside. Jacinta was in the kitchen, and when she and Talitha saw each other, they froze for a second, then broke into big smiles and rushed to hug. What are you cooking? Talitha asked. It smells incredible, Jacinta smiled. Dinner's going to be spicy. Do you like spicy food? Hell yes, Talitha said. You can call me Tally if you want, Jacinta said. Tori and your dad do. Thanks, but I like Jacinta, Talitha replied. I can switch if you want. Jacinta laughed. I'm fine with Jacinta. Let's talk spice. Jacinta kissed me quickly before leading Talitha to the stove. She opened the oven, releasing a heavenly aroma. "These are lamb ribs loaded with spices," she said. "We'll shred the meat for tortillas with pico de gallo, brown rice, and refried beans. Dax, can you pick some avocados? There should be plenty on the trees." "Oh my God," Talitha said. "You just pick avocados?" Jacinta chuckled. "Yeah, we have lots of trees." "I want to go," Talitha said. "Need any help, Jacinta?" "No, just peeling and slicing the avocados later. You go with your dad while I set the table." I grabbed a basket, and Talitha and I walked around picking ripe avocados. "This place is amazing," she said. "And Jacinta's even prettier in person. You're doing great, Dad." I laughed. "Thanks, doll. I'm glad you like her. I love her, you know." "Yeah, I can tell," she said. "She loves you too. You can see it." Dinner was as delicious as it smelled. Sitting at Jacinta's large table with two stunning women was a treat. I offered to do the dishes, and when I finished, Jacinta and Talitha were on the couch with a laptop, whispering. They quickly closed it as I walked in, and Jacinta patted the seat between them. "Uh-oh," I said. "What are you two plotting?" "What?" Talitha asked, feigning innocence. "He's paranoid," Jacinta teased. "Old people, right?" I smirked. "We're the same age." "Yeah, but you're the paranoid one," Talitha said. "Not true," I said, "but I know you've been scheming against me since forever." "All for your benefit," she replied. They finalized plans that didn't include me, and after playing a few games, we headed back to the van. Talitha kept glancing at me, her expression unreadable, until I couldn't ignore it anymore. "What?" I finally asked. "I like her, Daddy," she said, a small smile forming. "You're lucky." "I know, right?" I replied, chuckling. "Don't let her get away," she added, her tone turning serious. "Good thing I'm here to keep you in line." "Ha! If anything, you being here might cause trouble," I teased. "But I'm glad you're here. I knew you'd like her." She paused, her expression growing thoughtful. "How do you think Mom will react?" "It's not her business," I said firmly. "I'm not seeing her or asking her, so I don't care." Talitha tilted her head slightly. "I see her sometimes, and so does Tori. What should I tell her if she asks about you?" "She asks about me?" I asked, surprised. "Yeah," Talitha admitted. "She always does." "I had no idea. Are you lying to her?" She laughed. "No, but I don't say much. Mostly that you're fine. If I have to, I'll just tell her you met someone." "Do what feels right," I said with a nod. "I trust you. You're smarter than me." "Smarter?" She giggled, flashing the smile that had melted my heart since she was a baby. We had a great week. Sometimes just me and Talitha, sometimes all three of us, and occasionally Talitha and Jacinta went off on their own. By the time Talitha returned to Austin, she and Jacinta were planning our next get-together. Tori flew in 3 weeks later, and her reaction to Jacinta was just as positive. We were on a roll. I stayed in California until consulting work called. After talking to Tori, Talitha, and Jacinta, we decided to take a working vacation. Jacinta and I flew to Tarawa, and the girls arrived the next evening. I worked during the day while they explored, and we spent the evenings in paradise. By the end, I had 3 tan women and 2 daughters who adored Jacinta. I had to head back to Austin to do some real work in my office, which was going to take about 2 weeks. Jacinta flew in the second weekend. The girls picked her up Friday morning, and she spent the day with them while I finished up. We met for dinner, and she stayed with me. Sunday night, we planned to take the girls for a walk, but their mother chose that day for one of her rare unannounced visits. She knew that giving notice would mean they'd suddenly become busy, so she always tried to surprise them. When Jacinta and I arrived, she was already at their apartment, making things awkward as hell. Tori introduced Jacinta as Daddy's girlfriend, and the shock on Tessa's face was unmistakable. The girls tried to usher her out, saying we had a date, but she wouldn't leave. "So, how did you meet Dax?" she asked Jacinta. Jacinta smiled. "I sat across from him in math class." Tessa looked confused. "You're both taking a class?" I laughed. "No, this was when we were 10 years old." "You've known each other since you were 10? Tessa asked, baffled. "Why haven't I heard of or met you before?" Jacinta explained. "We lost touch for a long time and only reconnected this year," Tori cut in before things got worse. "Mom, we'd love to chat, but we have plans." Tessa snorted unhappily, but Tori firmly guided her out. The look on her face could have curdled milk. When she was gone, Talitha turned to Jacinta apologetically. "I'm so sorry, that was awkward. She showed up 5 minutes before you and didn't want to leave." Jacinta laughed. It's okay. It was bound to happen eventually. I have my place in your lives, and I'm here for you. Over dinner and later at home, the girls and I finally confronted the conversation we'd all been avoiding. Talitha, clearly nominated as the spokesperson, broke the silence. "Daddy, what are your immediate and long-term plans?" she asked, her tone direct. "Plans for what?" I replied, trying to deflect. She didn't waver. "I mean, do you plan to spend the rest of your life living in a van in California, or is there a bigger picture?" I laughed. "No, I don't plan to live in a van forever. Jacinta and I haven't discussed the long term yet." Tori chimed in. "Mind if we hang around while you two talk about it?" I looked at Jacinta. "I don't mind," she said. "I know how much your father means to you, and I know how much you mean to him. But you should also know that I love him, and I'm not letting him go." Tori nodded. "We know," Talitha added. "We don't like how far away you live. Dad, I've been talking to people at work, and Jacinta and I have discussed it too. I'm going to get my broker's license, and she and I are starting a real estate business here." I raised an eyebrow at Jacinta. "Really? You didn't mention this." She giggled. "Yes, Dax, I'm planning to leave my business in Ojai. Talitha and I see a huge market opportunity here, and we've been brainstorming." "I'm listening," I said. "I want us all together," she said. "My idea is this. I want you to live with me in Ojai for 6 months of the year. I'll hire an office manager, and we'll spend 3 months here while Talitha runs the business. The other 3 months, I want us to live in Tarawa. I fell in love with the place, and as the resort owner, I can manage that." "That's a plan," I said. "But what about the interruptions? As expected, things didn't always go perfectly. Business in Austin often pulled us back from Ojai, and vice versa. Despite the back and forth, we stuck to our Tarawa schedule, and Tori and Talitha frequently joined us there. One afternoon, about 3 months into our Austin stint, Talitha texted me with a photo. "Hey, Dad," the message read. "What's up?" I replied. "Just reviewing bridge inspection schedules. Can we grab lunch at 1? "Sure," I answered. "Does Ichiyumi sound good?" "Perfect," she responded. When I arrived at the restaurant, the hostess led me to a booth where Talitha was seated with another young woman. After the waitress took my drink order, Talitha turned to me with a smile. "Dad, this is Campbell Martin," she said. "My girlfriend." I was stunned, jaw practically on the floor. Campbell didn't take it well. "Screw this," she said. "Let me out of here. I don't need this." "Wait, Campbell, please," Talitha pleaded. "I didn't mean for this to go sideways." I snapped out of it. "Campbell, I'm sorry. My reaction wasn't about you. Talitha never told me she was gay. You surprised me, that's all." "It's my fault," Talitha admitted. "I should have prepared you." Campbell relaxed a bit. "She's my first girlfriend. I didn't think it needed explaining." I turned to Talitha. "Did you think I'd love you less? You've always had my heart. You know that." Her smile returned, and with it, the warmth that had defined our bond from the start. She started crying just as the food arrived, then jumped up and rushed to the restroom. Campbell turned to me, her eyes narrowed. "Damn, man, why'd you say that?" "Campbell, I don't know you," I said. "If you're Talitha's girlfriend, I'll get to know you. But you don't know me either, so stop feuding and swearing at me. It doesn't help. Honestly, though, don't you think being a lesbian is something you'd tell your parents?" She shook her head. "I wouldn't know. I don't have parents, but you don't get it either. It's not easy. Let me ask you, if you have a secret, love someone deeply, and don't want to disappoint them or hurt them, would you risk sharing it and getting hurt?" I sighed. I don't know. I don't know what I said or did to make Tally feel like she couldn't trust me. Maybe I wasn't as present as I should have been. Talitha came back with her makeup freshly applied, masking her tears. I grabbed her hand and pulled her close. "I love you with all my heart," I told her. "You're my doll, and nothing will ever change that. Now go sit by your girlfriend." She sat next to Campbell, looking apologetic. "I'm sorry, Daddy, I just—" "Shh," I interrupted. "It's over. We won't talk about it again. Now, tell me how you met Campbell." She smiled. "She was a pitcher on the Florida State team. We met at a tournament." "Love at first sight?" I asked. Campbell laughed. "It was for me. But she had a boyfriend, so we stayed friends." "And then?" I asked. "Until I moved here for a job," she said. "What do you do?" I asked. "If you're okay with it," she replied. "I don't mind," she said. "I'm a software developer." She looked at Talitha, then back at me, rolling her eyes. "He's testing me, huh? Will I pass?" I laughed. "You're a beautiful woman, Campbell. You don't need my approval, but I see what you're doing." Campbell raised an eyebrow. If I were your father, you'd fail the test. You're gorgeous, but you're too exposed. What the hell? Lucky you're not my father. Campbell, you're the one who asked him, Talitha said with a giggle. I like the way she looks, Daddy. I raised my hands in surrender. That's all that matters. Despite the rocky start, the conversation ended on a good note, and we parted amicably. The next evening, Tori stopped by and dropped a bombshell. Daddy, I hear you met Campbell, she said, giving me a knowing look. Tori, did you know about her? Did you know Talitha is bi? I asked, still processing. She sighed, clearly expecting the question. Yes, Daddy, I've always known. And before you get any ideas, if you ever keep a secret from me, I won't snitch on you either. Deal? Fair enough, I said. How well do you know Campbell? Pretty well, Tori replied. Tally told me a lot back in college, but I'll be honest, she wasn't always great. What do you mean? I asked, curious. She had a steady girlfriend once and cheated on her, Tori explained. Tally wasn't happy about it, so they stopped hanging out for a while. Wow, I didn't know that, I said, surprised. She's an adult now, Dad, Tori said with a shrug. Let her live her life. I get that, but if you were dating someone like that, a sudden thought struck me. Tori, she laughed. No, Dad, if I'm finding a life partner, it'll be a guy. After Tori left, Jacinta came home, and I decided to tell her about meeting Campbell. Her reaction caught me off guard. Oh no, I said, don't tell me you knew too. She hesitated before replying. Yes, Dax, Talitha told me she planned to talk to you. Why am I always the last to know important things about my daughter? I asked, frustrated. Jacinta laughed lightly. Because you're a man, Dax. Girls talk to women more easily. Well, I don't like it, I grumbled. Did you know Campbell cheated on an old girlfriend? Tori told me. And does that bother you? She asked. She was young, but yes, it does, I admitted. Jacinta frowned, her tone turning serious. Dax, they were 19 or 20. Didn't you make mistakes at that age? Yes, but not cheating, I replied firmly. The tension from the conversation lingered for a few days until I finally confronted Talitha. I'm worried about you, I told her, especially about Campbell. You know how awful it was when your mom cheated? Talitha's expression hardened. Yeah, I know. I'm the one who told you, remember? And now you think Campbell's the same? That pisses me off. She stormed out, ignoring my calls and texts afterward. Jacinta wasn't happy either. When she got home that evening, she demanded, What did you say to Talitha? Did she tell you? I asked. Yes, Jacinta replied sharply. She came to the office crying. Why did you say that? Because I'm worried about her, I said defensively. Jacinta's frustration was palpable. You're projecting, Dax. Campbell's a sweet girl who's grown up. Stop interfering. I just want to protect my daughter, I said quietly. Then let her live her life, she snapped. Your worry feels more like control. For the first time since we'd been together, my voice rose in anger. You're meddling, and she's not even your daughter. Jacinta looked at me like I'd slapped her. You're an idiot, she said quietly. How could you say that to me? She is my daughter. Ask her. I know you've been hurt, Dax, but taking it out on me or Talitha with a comment like that is just petty and mean. She turned and walked away, her back rigid with anger. Moments later, I heard her footsteps in the bedroom. I sat there fuming for another half hour before she came out, this time with suitcases. What are you doing? I asked. I'm going back to Ojai, she said. When you pull your head out of your A, call me. Her eyes brimmed with tears, her voice trembling. I'm not staying here with you like this. She walked out, leaving me stunned. How had it escalated to this? Why couldn't she understand my perspective? Why couldn't Talitha? I spent the rest of the day sulking and barely slept that night, haunted by the memory of Jacinta's wounded expression. The next morning, I stumbled through a mental fog, managing to pour myself nothing more than a bowl of cereal. At 10 a.m., the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, there stood Campbell, the last person I wanted to see. I sighed and stepped aside to let her in. Without hesitation, she strode past me into the hallway, exuding confidence. We need to talk, she said firmly. But first, I want coffee. Strong, black. I just stood there, momentarily dumbfounded by her boldness. Dax, she pressed, crossing her arms. Either you make me coffee or we're done talking. I'm furious with you, but I also understand you. So what's it going to be? Coffee, or are you throwing in the towel? I couldn't help but laugh despite myself. Feisty, bold, and stunning in her ripped jeans and crop top, she was impossible to ignore. "All right," I said, heading to the kitchen. "Coffee it is, just don't kick my A, Campbell." She grinned. "I could, I'm a damn good kickboxer." "Somehow I'm not surprised," I said. "I've got some Blue Mountain beans. Want to try them?" "Sure," she said, leaning casually against the counter. "By the way, I've always dreamed of owning my own coffee shop someday. Not one of those chains, though." As I ground the beans and set up the espresso machine, she sat at the bar, chatting about her vision for her shop. I handed her a cup of freshly brewed coffee, and she took a sip, nodding approvingly. "This is amazing," she said, setting the cup down and resting her face in her hands, her dark eyes locked onto mine. "Dax, you're crazy," I chuckled. "Probably. But what makes you say that this time?" "Talitha's devastated," she said. "And honestly, so am I. She doesn't understand you, but I do." I frowned. "You do? Enlighten me." "I understand," she said. "Your wife, Talitha's mom, cheated on you." "Talitha told you that?" I asked. "She did," Campbell said. "And she also told me how devastated both of you were." "So what are you getting at, Campbell?" I asked, leaning back slightly. "You see Talitha with me, and you're afraid," she said, meeting my gaze directly. "Tori's probably told you about my past, about what I did. You think I'll cheat on her, don't you? You think I'll break her heart, just like your wife broke yours." I sighed, unable to deny the accusation. "And what do you plan to do about it?" "I'm going to show you who I really am," she said, her tone steady. "You're going to get to know me, and I'll let you see what it's like to be me." "Fair enough," I replied. "You're off to a good start." She smiled, her dazzling white teeth contrasting with her golden skin. "Dax, I know what I look like. I've been hit on by men and women alike since I was young." "Not surprising," I said. "You're beautiful, Campbell." "Thank you," she said softly, her expression briefly vulnerable. "Talitha probably hasn't told you much about women's college sports, has she? In softball, most players are lesbians. I'd say maybe 10 of my teammates weren't." I raised an eyebrow. "That's quite the minority." "It is," she agreed. "Now imagine being young and surrounded by that environment. I was a sophomore when I started dating another girl. We were together for a year. I didn't cheat on her, and as far as I know, she didn't cheat on me." "What happened?" I asked. She paused, choosing her words carefully. "I was invited to an elite skills camp run by 2 legendary players I idolized. It was a huge opportunity, so of course I went." "And then?" I prompted. "Well," she said, her voice tinged with both excitement and regret. "These legends weren't just interested in me as a player. They started taking me to fancy dinners, clubs, concerts, experiences I'd never had before. They pushed me to the edge." I frowned. "You're saying they crossed the line?" Campbell nodded. "That's where you'll have to use your imagination, Dax. These women were everything I'd ever admired, and they took advantage of that." I was silent, trying to process her story, the layers of complexity in her life that I hadn't considered. She seemed to sense my struggle and sipped her coffee, waiting for me to respond. Tears shimmered in her deep brown eyes before slipping down her cheeks. Watching her pain was breaking my heart, and I finally understood how hard it was for her to share this with me. She was doing it because she loved Talitha and knew how much my daughter meant to me. In her vulnerability, she was reaching out, needing me to trust her. I realized I had to stop this hurt. I was the one causing it. Grabbing some tissues from the counter, I walked around, handed them to her, and gently pulled her to her feet before wrapping her in a hug. At first, she was stiff and resistant, but I held her close and spoke softly. "Campbell, I'm so sorry. You don't need to say any more. I understand, okay? I know how hard this was for you, and I made it necessary. Please forgive me." Slowly, she melted into my arms, pressing against me as sobs shook her body. I whispered reassurances, promising that everything would be okay, that I would fix things, and apologizing for not giving her a chance. After a while, her tears subsided, and I carried her to the couch in the living room. She curled up beside me, and we spent hours talking. As dinner time approached, I cooked for her, and she helped by staying close, leaning into me as if we'd known each other forever. Despite the differences between her and my daughters, it felt like I had another daughter in the room. We drank 2 bottles of wine, and by the end of the night, she was a happy, giggling drunk. She stayed over, sleeping in Talitha's room, and the next morning she called Talitha and invited her over for breakfast. When Talitha walked in, Campbell and I were side by side at the stove, chatting easily as we made pancakes. Campbell had one arm draped around me, and Talitha marched right over, stepping between us. "What are you doing here, Campbell?" she asked. "What, like Dad, I came to enlighten your poor, clueless father," I said with a grin. Talitha shot me a sharp look. "Campbell, what did you say to him?" "Nothing bad, Tally," Campbell said with a smile. "I just came to fix things. He's an overprotective dad, and now I get it." Talitha turned to me. "Daddy, what did you say to Campbell?" "I'm sorry for how I acted," I said. "I understand why you love her and how much she loves you. Will you forgive me?" She threw her arms around me. "I love you, Daddy, and I always will. It's easy to forgive you, but I need to apologize too. I thought you were just being an idiot." Campbell and I exchanged amused glances. "I kinda was," I said. "And I kinda was too," she admitted. Campbell smirked. "We've all had our moments." "Campbell and Jacinta helped me see things clearly," I said. "I know you love me and care about me. I just wish I'd confided in you sooner." "I wish I'd done the same," Talitha replied. "And I wish I'd answered Jacinta's calls." "Well, you've got work to do," I said. "I said some terrible things to her." "I know," Talitha said. "She told me." "What did you say?" Campbell asked. She didn't tell me. "I said Talitha was my daughter, not hers." Campbell made a small clucking sound. "I don't think Tally agrees with you on that." Talitha nodded. "Technically, you're right, but emotionally, you're wrong. I'm closer to Jacinta than I ever was to Mom. I wish she was my mom. You need to apologize to her." "What?" I said, incredulous. Campbell grinned. "Hope you like crow, dude, because you're about to eat a whole homicide." We all laughed, finished breakfast, and had a wonderful morning. I knew I couldn't waste time. 2 days later, I flew to LA, rented a car, stopped by a flower shop, and bought every rose they had. Jacinta wasn't home, so I let myself in, filled her house with roses, and knelt in the hallway when she returned. She froze, startled, as I said, "I've pulled my head out of my A. I'm so sorry, Peach. Please forgive me." Tears spilled down her cheeks as she ran across the entryway and hugged me tightly. She pressed her cheek to the top of my head, her curls falling like a veil around me. "I hate being mad at you," she whispered. "I'm sorry too, Dax. I know you meant well, but I guess it felt like we were all ganging up on you. We need to communicate better, all of us." I gladly ate that crow. We flew back to Austin and went rafting in Colorado with all the girls. That was my family now, and I decided Campbell was part of it too, a fiery, wild jungle cat of a new daughter. 3 years later, they were all with us in Tarawa when I proposed to Jacinta. The girls helped with the plan, and as Jacinta and I finished dinner, I got down on one knee before dessert. Her hand flew to her mouth, and she burst into tears, catching me off guard. But I slipped the ring on her finger, and she pulled me to my feet, throwing herself into my arms, still crying. Peach," I said. "I was hoping this would make you happy, not bring tears of despair." She giggled softly, snuggling into my shoulder. "I am happy. I cry when I'm really happy too." It was a small curveball, but I knew I'd knocked it out of the park. Our family was complete.